NBA free agency is set to tip off this Sunday, and on today's video, we're going to react to the article ESPN's Bobby Marks put out, where he highlighted 23 free agents that he think would be a good fit for the New York Knicks. That's around the corner, but first, I need help from all the diehard Knicks fans out there. Here at Knicks Now, we are quickly approaching 50,000 subscribers. That is a massive achievement, and I want to get there by free agency. But by the end of the offseason, I also want to catch the Los Angeles Lakers Report, another channel here at Chat Sports. So if you want free, informative, entertaining content every single day on your Knicks, hit that subscribe button right now. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive into it with NBA free agency just a couple days away. Let's set the stage by taking a look at the New York Knicks cap sheet and where they stand on right now, about how much money they could spend in free agency, which exceptions they have, and the latest we have heard about Isaiah Hartenstein. This photo of the Knicks cap sheet comes from Jeremy Cohen. He does awesome work with Knicks Film School. Check him out. He is really, really smart when it comes to the salary cap. As you can see, the New York Knicks are a team that is trying to find a way to restructure the framework of that Mikal Bridges deal. That way they are not hard capped at that first apron. This cap sheet shows, though, if you do bring back Hartenstein at that 4-year, $72 million contract, and you have the cap hit of Pacome Dadiet on there, the Knicks have just enough cap space below the second apron. Some more financials of it. Without Ihart and Dadiet, the Knicks are at about $170 million in salary, meaning they are just below the tax. That's if they don't re-sign Hartenstein and Pacome Dadiet does not come over. If that also rings true, they would be about $8.5 million below the first apron. And as we know, they are hard capped right now because of that trade. Details are not official, therefore they could shake those up, maybe include a sign and trade for Alec Burks, sign and trade for Precious Achiuwa, or find another creative way to get it done. They're also roughly about $19.33 million below the second apron. But we're going to move on in this video with the idea that they could have either the non-taxpayer mid-level exception if Hartenstein does leave, or if they re-sign him, they would have that taxpayer mid-level exception. First player that Bobby Marks mentioned was Kelly Oubre, the wing for the Philadelphia 76ers. This is a guy we've talked about for a couple of weeks now on the channel. I just don't know if he's necessarily a need anymore with the addition of Mikal Bridges, as well as having OG Anunoby. You could use another wing on the bench, true 6'7" guy, 28 years old. Doesn't shoot the three ball all that well, but he's athletic. He can run the floor, and he can play defense. He was that go-to defender for Philly against Jalen Brunson. Just not so sure you need to spend your money there. Marks also mentioned Patrick Williams as a player that he thinks fits with the Knicks, and I do too. And I would love for the New York Knicks to go out and get Patrick Williams. Where's he going to play, though? Are you paying him to come off the bench? Also, I think he's going to get way more than the mid-level exception. He's 22 years old, one of the best perimeter defenders in this league, and he shoots 40% from three. I just don't see how Bobby Marks thinks he'll be a player the Knicks can sign with that mid-level exception. We do know that the Knicks were interested in Bruce Brown back at the NBA trade deadline. Reportedly, Tom Thibodeau is a big fan of his and has been since he was drafted out of Miami. I just don't love the size and really the overall skill that he brings. The Knicks have enough margin guys coming off the bench like Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. I'm not sure I want to add another undersized forward that cannot shoot the three ball all that well. Makes a lot of winning plays, but I think the Knicks could do better than Bruce Brown. Isaac Okoro is a name that I've seen bounced around a couple of times, and I'm actually a little bit more interested in this option than someone like Bruce Brown. One, he's younger. Two, he's 6'5", and three, he's a much better offensive player. He shot 39% from three last year, really solid in the corners, a good catch and shoot guy, and he could defend multiple positions. Say OG Anunoby goes down, you could slide him into that starting lineup. Probably would be Josh Hart, but Okoro, a 3-and-D specialist, still just 23 years old, going to continue to get better. Someone I'm definitely keeping my eye on, as well as Saddiq Bey. Shout out to Villanova. Look, if you graduate or go to Villanova, you got a pretty good shot at this point to play alongside the other Wildcats for the New York Knicks. Love the size, though. 6'7", 25 years old. Really weird, though, that he only shot 31% from three. He's been a guy that's been able to be an above-league average three-point shooter, but he kind of fell off this past year, and he did tear his ACL in the early part of the 2024 calendar year. Might not be ready to go game one for the New York Knicks, but maybe he gets healthy and he comes along. I like him, Villanova, and I don't think it'd cost you that full mid-level exception. Other full MLE targets that Bobby Marks mentioned, Royce O'Neal. I'm a big fan of his. A veteran 3-and-D guy, can play small ball 4 and defend multiple positions. I'm all in on Najee Marshall. Just what he brings to the game and what he brings to his team is something that would help them in the playoffs. He can honestly be a small little playmaking hub for you, an aggressive defender. He's improved as a scorer. I'm a fan of his. DeAnthony Melton, not all that interested in, kind of a high-volume shooter, not really great efficiency. Haywood Highsmith, we've known pretty well as we faced off against the Miami Heat last year. Could make some sense. Don't think it costs a full MLE. Then Mo Wagner was an interesting one to me. If you lose Hartenstein, Wagner could maybe be the backup big for you, and you keep Mitchell Robinson on this team. We've got more players to talk about, but first I want you to weigh in the comment section for me and be honest. Grade the Knicks offseason moves so far, A, B, C, D, or F. Some veteran minimum targets that I would keep my eye on as Knicks fans is Andre Drummond, one of the best rebounding bigs in this league. Maybe he gets a little bit more and he actually has to be your biannual exception type of player. But Kyle Lowry as well. Josh Hart tried to recruit him last year when he was bought out by the Charlotte Hornets, and he went to Villanova. So maybe he could be a player the Knicks target. I've also heard Gogo Batadze is a player that the Knicks are interested in. Marks mentioned him as a potential Isaiah Hartenstein replacement. 6'11", 250, rough and rugged. He's strong. He brings intensity. He can block some shots. And overall, just a guy that's going to dominate inside the paint with his sheer size. Daniel Tice, another player that's interesting. I'm not all that interested in him. 6'8", 245 pounds. Doesn't really bring to the game what I would say Tibbs wants in a center. He's pretty much like a Dollar Tree version of Isaiah Hartenstein that's 6'8" and not 7 feet. Not all interested in, but for a cheap salary, maybe Luke Cornett, once a Knick, always a Knick. I actually would be interested in bringing Cornett to this team. He's kind of revitalized his game. When he was with the Knicks, he was strictly a three-point shooter. Went to the Boston Celtics in the last couple of years. He's become a really good defender as well. At 7'2", 250 pounds, I think it could make some sense. I was shocked when I read the article and Bol was mentioned by Bobby Marks. I just don't think Bol is an NBA player at this point. He's got great size at 7'2". He's got some skill as well. Maybe Tibbs wants to develop him, but that's about all I see on that. Jackson Hayes, I thought this was going to be a good addition for the Los Angeles Lakers last year. Just didn't work out. Hyper-athletic big, can catch lobs, block some shots, but just didn't for some reason come all together for him. He wasn't able to be all that productive. Less than 5 points, 3 rebounds. Didn't even just play that much. Maybe this is a better spot for him. Josh Richardson, the guard, defensive guard that can shoot, bounced around the league, had a season-ending injury, I believe, with the Miami Heat. If you want to bring him on a cheap deal to be a backup too, sure, but you already have that. Dante DiVincenzo and Deuce McBride and now Tyler Kolk on this roster. Just not really sure there's a need for a guy like Josh Richardson or even Max Christie for that matter. I'm kind of in the camp. The Knicks don't need to add any more undersized to, or just small guards at this point. Not saying 6'5" small, but you're not really a wing, you're a guard, and Knicks are kind of good at the guard spot right now. Joe Ingles was an interesting name that Marks mentioned. The veteran, he could shoot it, but I'm just not sure there's much left in the tank, so I would pass on Ingles. Trendon Watford was someone that I was pushing for the Knicks to sign last offseason. I like his game. I think he plays winning basketball. He's skilled. He's got versatility at 6'8", 240 pounds. I wouldn't mind him being on this roster as kind of a backup power forward or an emergency backup power forward. Chuma Okeke as well, 6'6" out of Auburn. Not a lot of production in this league, maybe for the veteran minimum. Cole Swider as well. Look, we're talking about players that were averaging 2 points and 39% for the field last year. Not sure the Knicks are going to be too interested in him. He can't shoot it as well. And then Vlatko Konkar, 6'8", from Slovenia, 236 pounds. Bobby Marks also mentioned there was one player that I actually forgot to put in this show, and it was James Wiseman. Wiseman actually interests me a little bit. Former number 2 overall pick, has the size, has the skill. Can he put it all together, and could he maybe learn under a coach like Tom Thibodeau. I think that makes some sense, trying to hit on the lottery and buy a player that maybe could give you some juice down the line. Name a free agent you want the New York Knicks to sign. Give me a name in the comment section. Got to find out what happens with Hartenstein first, but there are some players out there that I think could help fill the shoes if Hartenstein's gone. And then even if you bring him back, players that could help this team win some ball games. Give me a name in the comments. And make sure you are following me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, @MarshallGreen_. And let's go Knicks.